I'm Kevin Doncaster, Marine Corps veteran and founder of WarHawk PTSD Service Dogs. Meet my service dog, Lacey. This is our story. I've served a total of 7 years in the Middle East, and that's combined as a Marine and a DoD contractor. I've got 3 years in Iraq, and I've got 4 years in Afghanistan. I was blown up in a convoy, and I was also well, I actually technically lost my hearing as a result of a mortar landing next to me and exploding. When I came home, I sold my house. I packed up everything. I went to a town called Bartlesville, Oklahoma. It was stressful, and I did not cope very well with all that. I can honestly say that the first 4 years of my daughter's life, I was not a very good father. I was not a good husband. Quite frankly, I probably wasn't even a very good employee. I wouldn't say that I was managing my PTSD, but what I would say is that between the VA and all the doctors that I would see, it meant that I was on 12 different medications and oxygen at night. Created more and more stress for me. I came to know about service dogs because in January of 2019, I went on a road trip to go see a Gold Star mother by the name of Julie Vinage. Julie's son died on the same day that my helicopter took fire and we crash landed back on Bagram Air Base. I'll never forget the day. It's the day he died, and 4 Marines total died that day. And it's my alive day. October 13th, 2010, I walk away from this terrible situation where a helicopter goes up in smoke. So her son died, and we had stayed in touch all those years that I'd been in Afghanistan. I went to go see her, and I see this dog that she has named Grace. It's a beautiful German Shepherd, and she's given her these commands that I'm not familiar with. I only know the sit, come, stay. That's it, right? Well, Grace is constantly interacting with Julie, and it's because Julie was stressed, or she was emotional about something, or she was probably having panic attacks. And so I asked her about the dog, and she goes, well, this is my PTSD service dog. Never knew there was even such a thing. And then Julie gives me a stern order, you need to go get yourself one of these dogs. And so I started looking, and within a matter of days, I came across a guy by the name of Anthony Parnell, and he had Hudson Ridge Aussies out of Pryor, Oklahoma, and he told me to come out and meet Lacey. I knew from the moment that I met Lacey, just being there at Anthony's location, watching Lacey come up, and she just sat at my feet and looked up to me like she was reporting for duty. I instantly knew it was gonna be a great thing. And just like that, I'm being given this professionally trained dog and not being asked for a dime. So the circumstances that got me to start WarHawk PTSD Service Dogs is 2 weeks after I received Lacey, one of my buddies killed himself. I really want to change the stigma around mental health. I don't believe that we commit suicide. I don't believe we commit cancer. I call it someone died by suicide, just like you die by cancer. My buddy killed himself, and I immediately called Anthony Parnell. Actually, before I called Anthony Parnell, I was praying a lot and asking for guidance. And my dog just keeps bumping me. She just keeps pestering me. I'm like, I'm trying to pray, you know, and then it immediately hit me like a light bulb, you know, I need to call Anthony. So I called him and I said, look, how do I do what you did for me for a lot of people? And here we are, 50 dogs in 20 states. What task Lacey provides for me, she knows I'm legally deaf in my left ear, so she alerts me when someone's coming up behind me or from my left side. The second thing is she creates space for me in public scenarios, so we call that blocking. I don't like to be crowded, and that's for obvious reasons. I've been on patrols before where we've been crowded and you feel helpless, and that induces a panic attack for me. So Lacey will knock you out of the way with her butt. It's absolutely hilarious. And then lastly, the extra mile that we go is we train our dogs to pick up on distress. When you're distressed, she's going to start by trying to rub up against you, get you to pay attention to her. If you don't pay attention to that, she will slowly escalate, and eventually she'll stand up in front of me until I do pay attention to her. And all that's designed to do is to take you from whatever you're thinking about in that moment and to pay attention to the dog. And it works every time. I stop thinking about whatever I was thinking about. Now that I have Lacey, I'm not on a single pill whatsoever. I do have an emergency pill for both sleep and anxiety, but I rarely take those. So Lacey picks up on all those things for me, and I'm a better person for it. The process for our dogs to select their human, it's actually pretty simple. In a perfect scenario, what we would have is we'd have one candidate and about 5 dogs. And what we would do is we'd introduce those dogs one at a time to see which one's gonna take interest to that potential candidate or the dog's human, right? But for them to progress to become a service dog, it's about 12 to 18 months. So the first thing that we're doing is we're working through the puppy phase. I don't even consider that part of phase 1. Phase 1 would be more aligned towards your basic obedience. Phase 2 is getting into your advanced obedience, getting that dog to go to a designated place, getting that dog to respond to verbal cues and hand signals. You know, the basic obedience is all about sit, come, stay, and getting the dog out the door when it needs to go to the bathroom and not letting it go in the house. So, and then phase 3 is all about that task training. And I like to tell people that we're trying to put about 100 hours of task training into each dog before they reach their owner. 100 hours over that stretch of, 12 to 18 months. So it's a long journey. We have a lot of strategic partners. We have learned as of year 1 to partner with other trainers that have the same philosophy and abilities that we do.
My name is Susan Bailey, and I'm the owner of Bonafide Dog Academy.
I'm Grace Bailey, and I am the Day Academy Manager at Bonafide Dog Academy.
I met Kevin through watching his interview on KETV, and it was about WarHawk's PTSD Service Dogs and Kevin. And it really struck a chord with me because I'm a military daughter, and my husband was, his father was also in the military. And we had always wanted to reach out and do service dog work. So when I saw Kevin, I thought, oh, this is a great opportunity for me to get involved. Bonafide Dog Academy and WarHawk PTSD Service Dogs has the same mission and vision as far as raising and training service dogs and placing service dogs with those in need, be it veterans, first responders, Gold Star families.
A common misconception about training service dogs is everybody thinks it's a one-size-fits-all training process. Whereas like humans, they have their own personalities, dogs are the same way. You have to conform to their needs. The best age to start training a service dog is as soon as possible. Not only do you avoid negative or bad habits forming, but you also ensure that the training will go much more smoothly. So Beck, one of the WarHawk dogs, is a 11-week-old puppy, a brown lab, chocolate lab, who has been with us for about a week now, and we're just currently puppy raising him, getting him on his feet, with a solid foundation of basic obedience and learning how to potty train, of course, kennel training, all the fun stuff of a puppy. Beck's personality, he's such a sweet little pup, very mellow for a chocolate lab from what I've seen. But yeah, he's super sweet, super loving, super focused at the same time too, so it's awesome.
You know, the national average is $25,000, 3 to 5 years. And we're in the PTSD business. That means we're in the mental health business, and there's not a single person that is battling PTSD right now that can wait 3 to 5 years. So we're accelerating that program down to 18 months max, a year if we're lucky, and we've also knocked the price down to about $10,000. And that can even go further down if we don't have to go a great distance in transportation. About $1,500 is what we average for transportation costs. We got another $1,000 to $1,200 in health for the dog, you know, the vet bills and all that good stuff. about another $1,000 to $1,200, depending again, if it's a year, is it 18 months? And that's just for the food. And then we've got about $6,300 in professional training. Well, there is a hierarchy in who my organization serves. It goes veterans, first responders, and then special circumstances of PTSD. We've placed dogs with every kind of first responder there is, to include a 911 operator. And I'm very proud of that. I knew from the very beginning that if I was only going to be about veterans, then how could I help someone like Julie Vinage, who influenced me so greatly in developing this organization? And I just didn't want to be able to say that. And I think today we're one of the only organizations that I know of that will help non-veterans. And I'm very proud of that. The first dog delivery was the most important. And the dog went to a forward observer in Afghanistan in the Army. His name is Marquise DeBose. And the reason why I think of this so much is because this guy gave me a hug that I can't really explain to people. Like he was breathing for the first time almost. There was so much said in a hug that a conversation just can't capture. So that's the one I reflect on a lot. The second would be Amber Edam's daughter, Caden. So Amber Edam and Caden, they're a Gold Star family. You would think that I'd be telling a story about after 20 years of service, this captain died in service to his country in some faraway land. He died here giving aid to a stranded motorist. He was a military policeman. He used his vehicle to block a lane of traffic. He got struck by a semi and killed instantly. Amber, in a last-ditch effort, calls me up and says, I need help. I'm not necessarily asking for a dog, but do you have any resources? My daughter's talking about suicide a lot and she's just not in a good place. And as a father, what I did, it's the only time I've ever done this, is I went to every single potential candidate we had at the time and I said, man, I've got a case here and you're in line, but I need to know if you'd be willing to give up your seat. I'll get back to you, but would you be willing to let somebody cut in line? I had 5 veterans in line at that time. All 5 gave up their seat. It was their decision. So it's like you give up so much in service to your country, and then here's these veterans are giving again. We immediately got to work, and I meet this girl, and she's very standoffish. And you know, as a father of a daughter, this hits home for me. When I was in the Middle East, we'd get shelled a lot. I was at this base called Andar. We called it the Wild West. And we were just taking fire after fire after fire, and we're getting shelled and rocket attacks, and we'd sit in a bunker for a long time. And guys would sit there thinking they're gonna die, and they'd say, Kevin, if I die, will you take care of my family? This is the first time I felt like I had an opportunity to fulfill that promise. I never met Captain Edam, but I hope I made him proud. And I think I succeeded because, again, coming down to the hugs, here's a girl who doesn't want to be touched by anybody but maybe her mom. And I'll never forget the day that she got her dog, she came up and she gave me this huge hug. Like, she jumped on me, hugged me, and I think she said something like, that's the only one you're gonna get, you know? So I reflect on those 2 a lot. And today, we do it a lot differently than we did in the beginning. A statistic I don't like to talk about, but I'm openly sharing because we're a transparent organization, is that we've lost 9 potential candidates to suicide while they were waiting for us to finish their dogs. So today, I'm placing that dog with that person a lot quicker, and that's because I want to get their skin in the game. I want them to have responsibility, and I want them to not only depend on that dog, but have responsibility to care for that dog. That dog's counting on you, and you got to count on that dog. So when people choose to donate, it gives me the best feeling in the world, and here's why. I feel that people had forgotten about me. You know, if Anthony Parnell had not stepped up and just given me this dog, I would say, who cares about my service? We say it all the time, IGY6, I got your 6. I want people to know that when my organization commits to you, we truly mean it. So when people donate, I get to say, and this is the biggest thing, I get to say this dog was made possible by this coast-to-coast community. We call it WarHawk Nation. And this dog was made possible by a coast-to-coast community that cares. It's a big deal. This is our 5th year in operation, and I don't think that we could have gotten this far without people like you. So if you've donated, if you've purchased some of our swag, if you've shared a post, if you've raised awareness about us, I just want to say thank you. This doesn't happen without a community, and that means you. So on behalf of me and the entire team at WarHawk, we want to just say thank you so much for your support.